Welcome to the Dibley Diaries for this week. This week we're going to be thinking about the miracle of when Jesus turns water into wine, right at the beginning of his ministry. And I've been thinking about what that might mean as part of the Royal Challenge. It's interesting in the story of this miracle that Jesus doesn't necessarily want to do it. He doesn't realise that's what God's calling him to do necessarily at the beginning, and his mum pushes him and says, you should do this. You just get on with it, really, because this is what God's calling you to do. And I've been thinking about that in terms of the Royal Challenge to do with vacancies. So vacancies are times in the Church of England where there are no vicars to lead, or at least not a person in charge of a particular area to lead the churches and to minister to the congregations. People can be very anxious about these times. People can be very concerned about these times. But I think it's really interesting. My experience is that these are times when often there is church growth, and where in particular people who have just been doing ordinary things or doing nothing special apart from maybe coming to Sunday worship actually end up doing something else which is part of the work of God, of the church in that place. It may be that they end up leading some services, it may be that they end up leading some prayers, it may be that they end up leading a prayer group, or it may be that they do something equally valuable behind the scenes. Maybe they're involved in the rota, in thinking about strategically what's good for our church communities in the way that we meet together. It may be that they organise the cleaning rota. It may be that they go and visit some people and provide pastoral care for people. And so actually, although vacancies are a time when people are often quite anxious and quite stressed about finding a new vicar, there's lots of things which go on in that process. But also my experience is that these can be huge times of growth for people and for communities, where they can work out what it is that God's calling them to do and be doing that ready for the new person who will lead them to arrive. Thought for the week this week is based on our gospel reading for this week, which is John chapter 2 verses 1 to 11, which is where Jesus turns the water into wine. It's really interesting. I was looking again this week at its position within John's Gospel. So in John's Gospel we have the prologue, then we have Jesus being baptized, and then we have Jesus gathering disciples, and then this story, the story of the wedding at Cana, comes next. So Jesus is at a wedding when wine runs out, and his mother comes and says, you know, the wine has run out. And that is just a big issue. That's a big shameful issue for lots of people. It's a concern. It could be a multi-generational shaming thing. But Jesus, in effect, says, not my monkey, not my circus. What do you expect me to do about it? And Mary doesn't take that as an answer. She just tells the servants, do whatever he tells you. And then Jesus turns the water into the wine, and the stewards are very... the steward says, well, why have you saved the best wine till last? And then there's a little bit at the end saying that Jesus did this and it revealed his glory to the disciples, and so on. And I've been really thinking about this week, what does it mean for Jesus to be understanding himself better, understanding his mission better about what he's going to do? Earlier on in the week, and I don't know quite how my YouTube algorithm picked this up, but it suggested I look at the scene in Spider-Man between MJ and Peter, and also Spider-Man, where he reveals that, where MJ challenges him to say that he's Spider-Man, and then at first he denies it, and then he accepts that he is Spider-Man. This happens on a very famous touristy bridge, and MJ presents to Peter all the reasons why she believes that he is Spider-Man, and he denies that he's Spider-Man. He says, "I'm not Spider-Man. I can't be Spider-Man. And then she said, "But this happened and this happened." It's just like, "I'm not Spider-Man." Then MJ gets something out and says, "This, I found this. This is a problem. It's a projector. It's to do with something really bad that's happening." At which point, Peter goes, "Oh no, I am Spider-Man, and I need to do something about this. I really, really am Spider-Man, and I need to do something about this." And they go and they do something about it in that superhero way that you expect Spider-Man to do. But I've been thinking about it in the context of this week's reading, thinking about actually Mary's challenging Jesus and saying, you are the Messiah. You can do something about this. You should be able to do something about this. And at first, Jesus is like, no, I'm not doing anything about this. Why should I be doing anything about this? And then he does. Mary doesn't give up. She just says, "You servants, you do what he tells you." And then Jesus does do what he needs to do. He does what God's calling him to do in that situation, and he turns the water into wine. It's a great miracle. It shows who he is to his disciples. He hasn't quite put on his superhero suit, but it does show that there's something remarkable happening about Jesus, which is important. And it's just this response to his mother's prompting. Yes, I can do something about it. I will do something about it. And he does something about it. I think it's a really interesting thing to think about what God might be challenging us to do. What is it that he thinks that we can do that maybe we don't think we can do? What is the thing that he would say to us, "You can do something about this. You can do something about this because you're my child." I go on all the time about us being God's children, and not stuff that we do in our own strength, but stuff that we do because we're God's children and part of God's plan. So what is it this week that God is saying, "You should do this. You could do this. You be the miracle. You be the miracle in this situation"? The Dibley moment for this week is something which happened to me because I'm a vicar. I was staying with some friends in a place where we were being given food as all-inclusive, but the wine was ridiculously expensive. We were sitting down for dinner one night, the 8 of us, and somebody asked for 2 extra jugs of water. And I'm like, "What have you got? Why are you ordering all this water?" And he just turned around, because I'm a vicar, and said to me, Okay, Janet, do your stuff." I didn't pray for that water to be turned into wine, but I kind of appreciated the acknowledgement of my theological position that I might have done, but we did not have wine that time. Have there been other occasions when we've prayed for things which were not going to happen and did happen and were miracles? Well, yes, too many to list here today, but not the day when I was given the jug of water to turn into wine at the restaurant. That's it for the Dibley Diaries for this week. I pray that you and your village, however large or small, have a really blessed week where you can pray and amazing things will happen.